World War II was fought with dozens of different calibers: rifle, pistol, machine gun, and more. Here's a simple look at the ammo that armed millions. Let's begin with rifle and light machine gun calibers. 30-06. Springfield, the legendary American rifle round. It served faithfully in the Garand, the Browning automatic rifle, and countless machine guns. Powerful and ubiquitous, it defined U.S. infantry firepower for decades. 7.92 by 57mm Mauser. This was the backbone of the German Wehrmacht. It fired from the K98K, the MG34, and the feared MG42. A superb, full-power rifle cartridge that saw use across all fronts. 7.92 by 33mm Kurz, a truly revolutionary development. This intermediate cartridge powered the Sing G44, arguably the world's first true assault rifle. It shortened the effective range but dramatically increased sustained fire capability. 303. British, the grand old lady of the Commonwealth forces, essential for the Lee Enfield rifle and the Bren light machine gun. It often featured a rimmed case which could make high-speed extraction sometimes difficult. 7.62 by 54mm R, the Russian standard since Czarist times. It features a distinct rim design. This powerful round drove the Mosin-Nagant rifle and the DP light machine gun, remaining in service long after the war. 7.5 by 54mm French, developed in the interwar period to replace the older Lebel round. It was the standard French rifle and machine gun cartridge used by both Free and Vichy forces during the conflict. 7.7 by 58mm Arisaka, the primary full-power round of Imperial Japan late in the war. It was intended to replace the smaller 6.5mm round. It offered excellent ballistics, comparable to the British 303, 6.5 by 50mm Arisaka. This smaller Japanese round was used extensively early in the conflict. Known for its mild recoil and good penetration, it was a very effective infantry cartridge, especially for jungle fighting. 6.5 by 52mm Carcano, the principal Italian rifle cartridge. It was generally considered somewhat underpowered compared to its contemporaries. Used primarily in the classic Italian Carcano rifles. Up next, 7.35 by 51mm Carcano. Italy attempted to modernize by adopting this round just before the war. However, they lacked the production capacity, forcing them to revert back to the older 6.5mm caliber almost immediately. 6.5 by 55mm Swedish, an outstanding and highly accurate caliber. While Sweden remained neutral, this round was used in exceptional Swedish M96 Mausers, renowned globally for their quality and precision. 8 by 59mm R. Breda, a unique, powerful Italian heavy machine gun cartridge. It was designed specifically for long-range suppression fire, mostly used in vehicle-mounted and anti-aircraft roles. 7 by 57mm Mauser, though mostly superseded. This older German design saw limited use across various theaters, particularly in older weapons supplied to Axis allies or reserve units like the Spanish forces. 7.65 by 53mm Mauser, a widely adopted round, used by various South American and European armies including Belgium and Turkey, who retained older Mauser rifles during the war. Then, 8 by 50mm R. Lebel, the outdated rimmed French infantry round from the First World War. It was still in use by secondary French units in 1940. It required unique deep-section magazines for reliable feeding. Next, 8 by 56mm R. Mannlicher, the standard infantry rifle round of Austria-Hungary before the Great War. It remained in service with Hungary and other Axis minor powers throughout the conflict. 7.92 by 60mm Scharfschützen Patrone, a specialized extended version of the standard German rifle round. This designation implies a dedicated, high-precision sniper cartridge, seeking maximum range and accuracy. Next on the list is pistol and submachine gun calibers. 9 by 19mm Parabellum, the definitive submachine gun and pistol round of the war. Used by the Germans in the MP40 and later widely adopted by Allied forces. Reliable and effective at short range. 7.62 by 25mm Tokarev, the lightning-fast small-caliber pistol and submachine gun round of the Soviet Union. Known for its high velocity and impressive penetration, especially from the PPS H-41, 45 ACP. The signature American pistol and submachine gun caliber, heavy and slow, it prioritized stopping power over penetration. The heart of the Thompson and the M1911 pistol. Next, 380-200. The official service revolver cartridge of the British military, used in the WWII Mark IV revolver. The heavier bullet offered significant stopping power at close quarters. 8x22mm Numbu, the official Japanese pistol cartridge. It was generally considered underpowered and unreliable compared to the 9mm or 7.62mm Tokarev rounds, 9x19mm Glicenti, an Italian variant of the 9mm Parabellum. It was often underloaded compared to the German version, used mainly in the Beretta 1915 pistol and certain submachine guns. Now this is the 7.65x21mm Parabellum. This round was the original cartridge for the famed Luger P08 pistol. While later replaced by the 9mm, it still saw substantial use early in the war, especially in Switzerland. 7.65x17mm Browning, a common European civilian and police cartridge, also known as 3.2 ACP. It was widely used in smaller side-ons by officers and second-line troops across many nations. 7.65x20mm long, the primary French submachine gun and pistol round. It offered excellent accuracy but lacked the stopping power of the larger 9mm Parabellum caliber. Then, 7.63x25mm Mauser, an extremely high-velocity pistol cartridge, famous for use in the Mauser C96 broom-handle pistol. It strongly influenced the Soviet 7.62mm Tokarev design. 4.55 WWII, the powerful large-bore revolver cartridge. Although officially superseded by the .380/200, stockpiles of this classic British round saw use throughout the conflict. Now this is the .38 Longcol. This older American revolver round was often still found in limited use, particularly in police or secondary support units, as stocks were drawn upon heavily in wartime. 9x23mm Largo, the standard service cartridge for Spain. Although Spain was officially neutral, this caliber saw use in the reliable Spanish Astra pistols that were often imported or sold internationally. 11.35mm Nagant, a very unusual sealed revolver round used by the Russians. When fired, the case expands to seal the gap between the cylinder and the barrel, increasing muzzle velocity. Next, 11mm French Ordnance, an obsolete black powder revolver cartridge from the 19th century. Its usage was likely limited to reserve or colonial forces using ancient side-ons. Now let's look at carbine and intermediate calibers. 30 carbine, a dedicated intermediate round for the American M1 carbine. It offered significantly more range and power than a pistol, but far less recoil than a full-power rifle round. 7.92x36mm EPK, a highly experimental German cartridge. This was part of the early research into intermediate rounds, testing ballistic concepts that eventually led to the successful Kurtz cartridge. 7.65x38mm Livens, another experimental, early intermediate round, likely a German or Axis design, focused on exploring the effectiveness of reduced power assault rifle concepts before mass production began, continuing with heavy machine gun and anti-tank rifle calibers. 50 BMG, the undisputed king of Allied heavy machine gun rounds. Used in the Browning M2, it was devastating against infantry, light vehicles and low-flying aircraft. 12.7x108mm, the Soviet counterpart to the .50 BMG. This heavy machine gun round provided immense stopping power and armor penetration from weapons like the DSHK. 12.7x81mm Vickers, a British heavy machine gun round designed specifically for aircraft use. Fitted primarily to the Vickers K and VGO machine guns used extensively in the air war. 12.7x81mm SR Breda, the standard Italian heavy machine gun round. It was notably smaller and less powerful than the American or Soviet equivalents, limiting its effectiveness against heavier armor. 13.2x99mm Hotchkiss, a large-caliber anti-aircraft round used by the French and also the Japanese Type 93 heavy machine gun. It was highly effective against unarmored targets. 13x64mm B, an unusual short and very heavy caliber round. This likely saw service in specific aircraft installations or early prototype heavy weapons, demanding high impact energy. 14.5 by 114 mm, an absolutely enormous Soviet anti-tank rifle round. Used in the PTRD and PTRS anti-tank rifles, it could penetrate significant armor plate at short range, 15 by 96 mm MG-151, the standard German cannon round for aircraft installation, especially in the feared Me-109 and FW-190 fighters. It was highly explosive and destructive against enemy planes, 15 by 104 mm, likely an experimental or prototype high-velocity cannon round, possibly designed for heavy anti-tank applications or specialized aircraft guns seeking extended range. Let's move on to autocannon and aircraft calibers, 20 by 82 mm. The primary caliber for the feared German MG-151 and Mk-108 aircraft cannons. It delivered a huge punch in a relatively compact size perfect for fighter jets, 20 by 72 mm Solothurn, a specialized, often semi-automatic anti-tank gun round produced by Switzerland, widely adopted by Italy and reserve axis units seeking light armored vehicle defense, 20 by 110 mm. This designation often points to a high-velocity, British or American anti-aircraft or anti-tank cannon round, designed for maximizing long-range impact and penetration, 20 mm Hispano-Suiza, the most widely used Allied aircraft cannon caliber. It equipped Spitfires, Typhoons, and P-38 Lightnings, delivering truly devastating firepower against German aircraft, 20 mm Oerlikon, a Swiss design famous worldwide for its effective anti-aircraft capability, particularly for naval defense against dive bombers and low-flying attackers, 20 mm Shivak, a standard, high-velocity Soviet aircraft cannon round. Used in the Yak and large EG fighters, it was critical for Soviet air-to-air combat effectiveness. The next one, 20 mm Type 99, the primary Imperial Japanese Navy aircraft cannon round. It was highly explosive, often using thin-walled shells filled with high-capacity explosive material, making it extremely effective against Allied planes, 23 by 152 mm. A very large caliber Soviet aircraft cannon round, designed for heavy strike aircraft and later used for anti-aircraft roles, offering massive explosive power and range, 30 by 173 mm Mark 108, the German Schrager Musik round. This enormous low-velocity, high-explosive round was specifically designed to destroy heavy Allied bombers from below with great efficiency, 37 by 198 mm M4, the primary American anti-tank gun round. It was highly effective early in the war, but rapidly became obsolete against heavier German tanks like the Panzer IV. Now this is the 37 by 263 mm B, a common anti-aircraft round, often associated with early German flak cannons. It offered a high rate of fire and good ceiling penetration for intercepting bombers. Now let's look at shotgun calibers. 12 gauge, used extensively in trench warfare, especially by US Marine Corps and Army combat engineers. It was highly effective for close quarters fighting and clearing obstacles in the jungle. Finally, we have other large calibers, 25 mm Hotchkiss, a French anti-tank gun caliber used in the early stages of the war. It was compact, but quickly overwhelmed by the armor of the Panzer III and the new German designs. 37 mm, a ubiquitous light cannon caliber, used by nearly all combatants early on, primarily in towed anti-tank guns and light tank armament before bigger guns were needed. 45 mm, the primary Soviet light anti-tank caliber. Reliable and mass-produced, it served as the Russian infantry's main defense against German armor early in the war. 47 mm, a common cannon caliber used by Italy and the US, often found in light tank roles. Italy used the excellent 47 mm 62 gun extensively in North Africa. Up next, 50 mm, the primary caliber for the German Panzer III medium tank in its earlier versions. It delivered reasonable armor penetration but was eventually replaced by longer barrels and larger guns. 57 mm, known to the British as the 6-pounder and the Americans as the M1 anti-tank gun. This medium caliber weapon was critical for destroying tanks like the Panzer IV. 75 mm, perhaps the most versatile caliber, famous in the American Sherman tank and the German PRK-40 anti-tank gun. A highly effective dual-purpose round for high explosive and armor-piercing roles. 76 mm, the standard Soviet medium tank caliber, fitted to the T-34. This highly potent high-velocity round also became the basis for the improved American Sherman variant cannon. Up next, 88mm, the most famous German cannon. Originally an anti-aircraft gun, it became the war's premier dual-purpose weapon, feared equally by airmen and tankers across every theatre. 90mm, the primary heavy cannon of the US Army late in the war, used in the M36 tank destroyer and the M26 Pershing tank, providing essential parity against German heavy tanks.